So I think this is really funny because this has come up in all the years I've been in digital marketing. It's everyone's like, they'll Google themselves and they'll be like, what's going on? And it's always like, please don't Google yourself. So most people don't know this.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to Google yourself. The reason we say this is because a lot of times people Google themselves and try to see where they are ranking. If you do that and you don't click on your site, it sends a really bad message to Google.
Welcome to the Neon Buzz, where we offer marketing advice for oral, aesthetic, and other elective healthcare professionals. Sit back and relax while we share our digital marketing secrets to help you grow your practice.
Welcome back to the Neon Buzz. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different from what we usually do. Catie and I have gone all around our marketing agency and we have collected some frequently asked questions from a variety of departments that we're going to share. We'll be covering everything you can think of, from social media to web design to practice management and all those burning questions that you might have had when it comes to your practice's marketing.
I feel like we tried to pare down what we could because we're on calls all the time. We hear lots of questions in the office. We hear questions from the office next door. So tried to pare them down a little bit.
Exactly. So we'll be covering, 2 to 3 on each subject. But if you hear anything and have any questions about what we discuss or any questions about your marketing in general, please feel free to comment on the video. Or if you're listening in, please DM us on Instagram. Yeah. And we'll be happy to reply.
We'll be watching for your questions.
But speaking of Instagram, I do want to start with social media. Okay. So you and I are on social calls all the time.
Right.
You've been handling a lot of them lately. And one of the questions that comes up a lot from doctors is how much time should their team be spending on social media each week?
This is the number one question I get from doctors on my calls. How much time should I give my team to do social media? Because a lot of times the social contacts that we're talking to, they have multiple jobs in the office. They're not just doing social media. So how do you set aside separate time? I would say that my answer would be 5 to 10 hours when you're getting started. You have to think that social media management entails a lot of different things. Sometimes you're a video editor. Sometimes you're a copywriter. You're learning a lot of new things. So it's not unusual for it to take 10 hours a week. And as you get better at it, that time goes down significantly. So sometimes, you might get it to a point where it only takes you an hour a week, but it's important to have the right expectation and be able to give the doctor the right expectation on our call, right? So that he can help his team and we can help them succeed. So I feel like the biggest time sucks out of all of it is probably video editing. And then for a lot of people, writing. So just keeping those two things in mind, I always say have some grace. They're learning 7 jobs, not 1.
Yeah, I think people don't realize how much goes into social media from just even working with the team, content collection, captions. And then you said video editing. That takes a minute. That takes a long time. So something I did also want to ask was this question that comes up all the time, which is how do they find time to collect content during the busy practice schedule? Right. What are some recommendations there?
When are those 5 to 10 hours?
Yeah. When can we squeeze those in?
So I found that it is most successful for practices to set aside a larger amount of time. So say time blocked, 2 hours versus 30 minutes a day. Because there are so many moving parts, it is easier to just kind of knock them out than to one day you write the caption, the next day you write the call to action in the caption. It's just easier to do it in a bigger piece. So some people, they will take a half day on a Friday or the day that they, maybe have less patients, and whoever's in charge of social media will spend half the day collecting the content, which is totally reasonable. Some people do like the smaller increments, but overall, I think larger amounts of time, more success. And there's a bunch of different tools that you can kind of set yourself up for success with. So the content calendar is going to be a huge help. Having your plan for the month ahead. I know we say that all the time, and it's harder than it sounds.
Yeah, harder than it sounds, and it's so vital when it comes to running a business's social media.
Yes. I help a lot of people go from idea generation to content calendar to shot list to drafted posts, and all of that can help you set aside time so that today is this step and you have the right amount of time to do it.
Something I also like to talk to clients about are content days. So when you get in your team meeting and you're like, hey guys, this is the social media plan for the month. These are the days that I will need you on camera. Because I think that's also sort of a pain point that people have.
Yes.
So it kind of brings me to the next question, which is how do I get people and patients or anyone on my team to participate in social media?
Dreaded team participation.
I know, yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, that is where they get stuck. I'm doing it because it's my job, but my team doesn't want to participate. So kind of have maybe like a three-part answer here. The
Yeah.
last point being my new favorite. So the first would be to share that shot list with your team. Let them know ahead of time, like about your content day. So you have your shot list of, I need to take a photo of Susie with getting this certain wire put in, or whatever the shot list is, a video of this, a photo of that. Share it with your team.
Yes.
They can help you collect the content. So they're participating in that way. Maybe they're not in it, but they can help you collect it so it's not all on you. And they also know what is upcoming. They're not surprised when it says team photo on it, and 2 weeks later on your dedicated content day,
Yeah.
it's time to take the team photo. They can be photo ready, hair, all the things.
Yeah, no one can get mad at you for like, I didn't dress up today, or I can't be on camera because my makeup's not right. Like
no surprises.
Yeah, they know exactly what to expect. They come in camera ready, and it just makes your job so much easier.
Yes. I think the word we and us is really important in those conversations. It is a team goal. You know, you're not the bad guy for being the person who wants to get the social media photos. It's a goal as a practice. It is something that we're helping you with. So feel free. I always say to like throw us under the bus, throw Neon Canvas under the bus. You know, we are working with you. We want you to succeed. So go to your team.
Yeah.
Neon Canvas, you know, they have set these goals for us. The doctor really wants us to work on this together. So we are going to do this. It's like we're all in this together moment.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And then my favorite is saying, you know, and I've been using this a lot, is just try it. Tell your team, like, it, you know, just for this month, we're going to give it a real shot, give it our all, and see what happens. And
make it a little bit more manageable and like a little bite size for them.
it will never be as bad as I think it is. I'm positive.
Yeah.
So it's always a little bit easier to just say just a month, or just until the end of the quarter, or whatever it is. Give it a time limit so they don't feel like it's forever. It also gives you a good time to see like what worked and what didn't work with your team, to make the tweaks, and you have a deadline.
Yeah.
You're holding yourself accountable, your team accountable, all around.
And then everyone like chips in too, because it's the monthly initiative.
Yes. And then you've got team participation. So problem solved. I do want to switch a little bit into like some web and SEO questions. My office is in between the SEO office and the account manager office. So
you hear it all.
I hear a lot of calls. I was not surprised to hear that these were some of the common questions when I talked to the team. But one question is, why does my account manager tell me not to Google myself?
So I think this is really funny because this has come up in all the years I've been in digital marketing. It's everyone's like, they'll Google themselves and they'll be like, what's going on? And it's always like, please don't Google yourself. So most people don't know this.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to Google yourself. The reason we say this is because a lot of times people will Google themselves and try to see where they are ranking. If you do that and you don't click on your site, it sends a really bad message to Google. If you click on your site and you're only on there for a second, it tells Google that you are either having a bad user experience or the site's not relevant to the search. So
all around sounds really bad.
Yes. And then we'll also have some clients that will look up some of their keywords or look up their practice and wonder why they're not ranking on a certain page. Something to also keep in mind with that is that your search results are dependent on your own search history. So you're going to be seeing something different from what someone else is seeing depending on how they're searching.
Okay.
So the best way to see how your site is performing, how you're ranking, is to use tools like a dashboard. We have a dashboard for all of our clients where they can see how everything's going. There's also free tools online that they can check out. Like SEMrush is, well, I think that's a paid one, but there's a free package you can use.
That dashboard, so handy.
I know.
I love seeing how organized it is too. And it is true, like there's no reason you would need to Google yourself with all the information that's on there. You see where you rank and it comes directly from Google. So you're Googling yourself, you get to the website. There's a lot of questions about things that happen
Once you get on the website.
Once you get on the website. One that we hear a lot because we're doing like content shoots where we're going and we're collecting content for an office is, what type of content should be on my website? Or like, what is the best type of image to put on my website, images?
Yes. So this is part of the reason like we'll fly out and do shoots for clients a lot of the time, but there should be a nice balance of content from your practice, but also aspirational images. So we don't want someone to go on your website and it is only images showing off your brand new office. You may be super proud of it, but that's not going to sell. Your website needs to be a selling tool. So if there's pages that are telling your brand story, we want to use high quality images that feature your actual team. But in other areas, we want aspirational shots so that if we're doing an orthodontist website. We want beautiful smiles here and there. These could be your actual patients, but these are more staged shots, or they could be stock images.
How do we feel about stock images? Are they cheesy?
Well, it really depends on the type of image that you get. I mean, there's this one girl who, in all the years I worked in orthodontic digital marketing, I've seen everywhere. She's
the same
on,
face,
the same exact girl with braces, smiling up at the camera. I think she's wearing like a little hat.
She's working hard.
I know, she's making her money. But that's something where every time I see it, I'm like, immediate no. Like, we're not going to use her image because she's everywhere.
Okay.
But there are some cheesy photos, so just use your discretion. Make sure that they fit your brand. You know?
Not that kind of aspirational photo all the time. It doesn't need to be the one stock image of the same smile. Your aspirational photos can be your own patients or
exactly
the right kind of stock photo is what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
So the website also has the all-important lead form on it.
Yes.
Andy, our VP of strategy on the web team, he said that this is his most asked question. What should be on the lead form?
I actually am next to his office, so
Okay.
I hear this too. But when it comes to your lead form, you want to keep it very simple. A lot of people wouldn't think about that. They're probably thinking, oh, I want to get as much information as I can to set my team up for success. But you have to think about it from the potential patient's perspective.
Yeah.
So keep it simple. Name, phone number, email, submit.
You need feet in the door.
Yes, exactly. So this is a statistic that Andy has shared with me before, but and you even mentioned it on one of our previous episodes. The likelihood of someone filling out your form decreases by 50% when you go beyond 3 questions.
I knew that was the stat you were about to pull out.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a shocking one.
Yeah, I think, and again, people really don't think about that because in your mind, you want to collect this information. We have had clients in the past that are like, no, I need to set my team up with some more information. A way you can combat that is by having a form that captures their information. They hit submit, and then there's another like secondary form where they can
at the same time.
Well, you'd hit submit, so the lead would be captured, sent into your system, sent to your team to reach out to, and then a second form that's sort of like a follow-up.
So even if they didn't...
If they bail, it's fine. You still can reach out to them.
Smart.
So that covers that.
Yeah, I don't think that I knew about the second form. That's so smart.
Yeah, it's he mentioned as like a secondary option for those who really want to capture that info, but the main focus when it comes to a lead form is just, again, capturing that info so that you can have a lead to add to your systems and reach out to.
Okay. Should we switch gears to... account management, coaching.
Yes. Okay. On the heels of the lead conversation, this is a question that a lot of our accounts team has received. So we get lots of leads, but they don't convert. What are they doing wrong?
Well, they're doing the heavy lifting, right? Like they are getting the leads, but communication is absolutely everything. Communicating with your team on how to communicate with the leads, because you don't want the reason that you're losing that lead to be something as simple as how your team is answering the phone. That is so silly when you've done so much work to rank highly. And
I know you spent all this money too on your marketing or
yes,
anything.
It's an investment. And if it can be something as simple as how your team answers the phone, we can fix that. So I hear the account managers say all the time, like, we are tracking all of your calls anyways because we're seeing, they're coming from the website, from social media, where that, what form they filled out, whatever it is. Turn on your call recording. Super simple. You're not spying or, you're doing your due diligence.
Exactly.
Because if it is a simple phrase or a simple end of the call phrasing that your team could use, figure out if that is the missing link, and oftentimes it is, and it is a free fix. So
and also, like, as a doctor or a practice owner, like, you're busy focusing on so many other things that you might not even realize that this is going wrong. So call recording, it's an awesome way to say, hey, team, this isn't exactly the best way to do it. Let me give you some additional resources, some additional training so that you can do your job better. And
you have some hard facts in front of you that this is maybe where it's going wrong. Super simple. I hear them recommend it all the time.
We talked about, additional training for a team member. So this question has come up a few times, but within your team, how many people should be dedicated towards marketing?
Ooh. This is a good question. I deal with this on this. We deal with it on the social media side too. When there's maybe more than one social media contact, but this is like the all dreaded. It depends answer.
I know.
Sort of.
Number one answer in marketing.
It's the worst answer, unfortunately, but it depends. If you have the resource to have 3 people, great. If you have one person, also totally fine. The most important part is that you have to empower them to be a decision maker in their space.
Yes.
It would be far better to have someone who's solely focused on social media and someone who's solely focused on, say, reviews and community engagement than to have two people covering both of those areas.
Yeah, because that gets like a little messy too of like who's handling what, where is this thing, why are we missing this due date?
Yes.
And it gives them a little bit more ownership.
That's like a secondary benefit of it too. They feel ownership of it. They feel like they're contributing and this is something that they can be proud of. So it depends, but give them some ownership and give them some power to make decisions. That is the best way to handle your marketing with your team. So last little section, graphic design, the creative team. They're always working hard over there. This first question I get for social media. So I had asked Kurt, the head of all things graphic design, if he gets this question that I get a lot on social media, which has to do with graphics that you're posting on your social media accounts. So we always recommend that you share a minimal amount. Much rather have familiar faces.
Photos, videos, things like that.
100%. But sometimes there's a time and place for graphics. So what would be the best way to share a graphic if you have to?
I do like this question because it's not as cut and dry of like no graphics ever if you're done.
Yeah.
There's a right way to do it. And I think the number one thing to point out is that you have to use minimal copy. So for example, sometimes I'll look at posts where someone's featuring like a Google review and it is just a block of text. And that's just too much for a person to digest, especially when they're scrolling through social media. Attention spans are tiny.
It's a great example.
If you did want to present information like that, just choose maybe your favorite 1 to 2 sentences that highlight like a service or treatment that you want to focus on. You can use your caption to expand on it a little bit more, but you still get the point across without having a wall of text there.
Less text. And if you have more text, it gets really small.
I know, it's tiny.
Yeah, my mom says all the time, anytime I put out a post for business side of things or personal, I get a text. It's too small. I can't read it. I'm like, okay, I can do better.
Yeah.
Always room for improvement. But that is something, she's like, I'm not going to zoom in to read it. And I think a lot of people assume it's a lot like maybe a print ad or something like that, which if we're talking about print ads, what is the best way to do all of your graphic design on a print ad?
That one kind of goes back to that dreaded question you mentioned before of like, it depends. So it really depends on the context of where the print ad's going to exist. Depends on the publication that it's going to be in, the theme, anything that you're trying to push about your practice.
Love a theme too.
I know.
Love a theme.
The theme's the really fun part. But something that I did want to like call out is because we dealt with this somewhat recently where we had a client who wanted to feature many, many elements of their business on one single ad. So they're running a promo. They're talking about how many years they've been in business. They're talking about the awards that they've won. It's kind of getting a little all over the place and there was no cohesive idea. So if you are running a print ad, try to focus on one cohesive thought, one service or promo that you're trying to push. You can theme it, of course. We've done a ton of really great things. We did like a theater program production.
I loved that one.
Yeah, that one turned out really cool, but we were able to do like a really fun like yearbook theme to it. So, think about where it's going to be published, how people are going to be interacting with it.
Yeah. And our team is typically pretty good too. Like if we get a large chunk of information, maybe throwing it back and saying, how can we make this concise or they will knock it out and they're wizards over there.
Yeah.
100%.
Exactly.
But it is important to be, I guess, concise on those print ads.
And you need to just pare it down when you can. If you have a lot of things you want to cover, focus this current print ad on one thing, and then the next ad can focus on another service, treatment, or promo.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
The last question we have in the graphic design department has to do with branding, which is a big part of what our design team is doing.
Yeah.
So Kurt and I talked on the podcast previously about branding for startups, and it kind of led into a conversation about rebrands. But I think we should talk about, when we get the question, when is it time to rebrand? How do I know that it's time for me to switch things up?
The main thing to pay attention to is whether or not your logo or branding is dated. So a few elements you could look at are your fonts, the letter choice, the elements. So like shadowing or 3D effects, things that kind of remind you of like the 2000s a little bit.
Yep.
And of course, like if it fits your brand, it fits your brand. But those are a few things that you could either update. So just give it a little bit of a spruce. You don't have to do a full brand new logo or anything, but things that you can make an adjustment to. And then another thing to pay attention to is what your competition is doing. Now, I don't want you to copy your competition. That's not what we're looking at here.
We shouldn't be copying our competition.
Yeah. Don't copy your competition. It's more so just seeing if their logo is more professional than yours. So,
And if I am in my own world, I've had the same logo for 10 years and I love it, and I have an inkling, like, maybe it's time for a refresh. I feel like it's probably a good idea to throw it to some trusted peers, not maybe even necessarily design experts, but just someone else and say, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, peer review, anyone who's like outside of your practice as well, just some like a fresh perspective, people who don't see it on a daily basis can give you that insight.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a rebrand, it doesn't have to be anything intense. You don't need to be ripping down your signs and replacing all your clothes and like everything at the office. It could just be a slight adjustment that gives you a sleeker look or a little bit more of a professional feel.
Makes a lot of sense. I feel like rebrands can kind of be a little intimidating sometimes because you've got to replace a lot of things, but sometimes it's just a refresh and not a complete redo.
Exactly. Just a little touch up.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's a really fun question to end on just because our team does get it a lot. And I love the design questions anytime those do come up.
Yep.
Well, we've kind of done a little bit of rapid fire there.
I know.
But
I wish we had time for more questions. There's always...
I know. There's new things that come up too. Maybe we'll do a part 2.
We should. That's a good idea.
For those listening, if you have any questions, if you've heard anything that we've shared and you want a follow-up on it or you sparked a new question, we'd love to hear it. Make sure to follow us on our social media, keep up to date with any new posts, and we'll see you next time.